few of your closest friends,
Yes.
I take it.
And a nice video. You guys looked good.
It was warm during that time, too.
A good photographer, obviously.
Yeah. But one of many trips you've both made to Israel. You've seen the land many times. And I wanted to talk a bit about some of the security challenges that Israel is facing. Congressman McCarthy, in this last trip, you were on the Golan Heights. You looked over the Lebanese border. You saw mortar fire. Give us a sense of, as Israel faces the threats they face today, Hezbollah missiles, Iran entrenching in Syria, what are some of the things the U.S. and Israel can do together to respond to that?
First of all, I want to thank anyone who participates in the Education Fund because it is life-changing for any member to go to Israel. When we went to that northern border, and we've done it times before, much more serious today than it's ever been. And to me, we've got a 70-year history between the relationships and the partnerships. And we have the same threat, Iran. And Iran entrenching itself, Russia promised they would not, have not kept their promise. What we've done inside the House, and this is bipartisan the way we deal with most of this, you have the Royce-Engel new bill that just came out to go after the Guard. And what the world needs to know, normally the regular army of Iran does not leave its home front. They allowed them to go into Syria. That's, to me, is unacceptable. And this is a place that we need to draw the line, and America cannot stand to allow Iran to stay.
Congressman Hoyer.
Arnie, I would add, I agree with Kevin, of course. We're going to have, at some point in time, a resolution in some form or another in Syria. One of the absolute essentials that America must require is that Iran have no presence in Syria as a result of that agreement. Kevin and I will both be supporting as well sanctions on those who either finance, help support, or help further the malign mission of the IRGC, which is really a force unto itself, and we need to treat it as such and be very cognizant of the threat that it causes, not only to Israel, but to the Middle East stability.
And give us a sense, and obviously another thing that's critical is support for missile defense and the other things that the U.S. supplies to Israel. Give us a sense of what the state of support is right now in both the Democrat and Republican caucuses on those issues.
Well, I think, Kevin and I sponsored a resolution, as you know, some months ago that got essentially unanimous support for Israel. And when you speak of missile defense, one of the things that we all made clear was that Iran, under the UN request, should not be testing or developing missiles which can attack Israel and or the entire Middle East. And we need to make sure that we implement the sanctions that have been passed, and if new sanctions are necessary, be prepared to enforce them. Let me say that missile defense is one of the areas where I think Israel and the United States can really be cooperative, as well as space, tunneling, drones, which we've seen such a dramatic consequence of just recently, where Israel acted absolutely properly when you had an Iranian missile attack. So we need to be very vigorous, and with respect to missiles, not only sanctioning, but developing even better defenses than we have already developed.
I think to build off what Steny says, and I hope you realize that this issue is not a partisan issue. It's not that Steny and I come out because we're not here because you invite us together. There's a reason why we go to Israel together. We sat and we talk. We meet quite often. It's not as the television portrays it to be. And
Would that we agreed on some other issues
Yeah.
as much as we agree on the issues so critical to all of us in this room.
Got to start somewhere.
Three main points you've got to look at. When you look at the agreement, we got to take care of that sunset clause. Because it's going to end, and we can't allow that to happen. There is no reason for Iran to be having ballistic missiles or testing. Not whatsoever. And then we need strict enforcement. But one part that Steny brought up that's very clear, we know the challenge when it comes to tunneling and the technology that we need working together. Now, it's very important that we just got a budget agreement, because in that budget agreement, we're able to deal with our military getting through the sequester challenge that we've had. Now, we're going to take up, hopefully next week, the rest of that Omni. And that really puts us in a stronger position for missile defense and others. And you look what's happening around the world. It's not, I'm fearful of Iran, but I'm fearful of somebody else sharing the technology as well. And this is why we have to just work hand in hand, especially when it comes to tunneling technology, because it's beginning to show up in Syria as well.
Yeah.
We cannot allow this to happen.
Let me make a point. Kevin and I did not vote the same way on JCPOA. I think we both felt the same way, and one of the things we have to recognize, that agreement clearly was not perfect. That agreement clearly should have dealt, in my opinion, with the non-nuclear, malign, destabilizing activity that Iran participates. It also should have dealt with a permanent solution, not a temporary solution. So I'm supportive, as Kevin is, of us moving towards renegotiation, cooperating with our European partners.
Right. As is happening right now.
As is happening right now. But to ensure that, in fact, Iran never, not just for 7 years, 10 years, 25 years, never has a nuclear capability that can threaten Israel, the Middle East, or the world.
Absolutely. Well, when you talk about Israel, you spend a lot of time talking about the security challenges, but there's so much that's so optimistic about Israel and about Israel's future. So I'd like to close by just asking both of you, as you think of Israel's 70th anniversary coming up now in 2 months, what are some of the things that most excite you about Israel's future for the next 70 years? Congressman Hoyer.
Well, first of all, I think you can refer to Israel as the miracle in the Middle East.
Right.
When you talk about startup nation, when you talk about bringing desert back to life and productivity, you talk about a people that has demonstrated not only extraordinary courage, or it would not have survived, but extraordinary, innovative, entrepreneurial, inventive development skills, which have transformed Israel into one of the great economic powers in the world. And that is to the benefit of the United States, certainly to Israel, and to stability long-term in the Middle East. So I see a very bright future for Israel if, and this is very important, we stand strong against those who would destroy Israel and all that it means to the world.
Think for one moment. 70 years, a close partnership, 13 presidents, Republican and Democrat, and I would say we're probably even closer today. That is a great relationship.
Yep.
No bond can be broken. But you asked the question about the future. I think when Bibi came to the House to speak to the House and Senate, he made this statement. You could applaud him. It's good. I applaud him too. Israel is not just a story of the Jewish people. It is of the human spirit, again and again, not succumbing to the horrors of history. And that, to me, only means the future is going to be brighter. And when I look at what you do with technology, what you do with democracy, and we don't stand together just because we have a bond. That bond is created because we believe in democracy. That bond is created because we stand against these rogue nations that want to destroy both of us. The bond is there because we believe in freedom. That is a bond that will only grow stronger And my belief is will only make the world better.
Absolutely. Well, Congressman McCarthy, Congressman Hoyer, I hope it's obvious to you how much everyone in this room appreciates your leadership and all you do for the U.S.-Israel relationship.
Thank you, Arnie. Thank all of you. Keep the faith, keep on fighting. We're going to win.